Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Nataliya Lloyd, Marques Ogden, and Michael Giuliano. Today, I would like to ask you, how do you recognize temptations to abandon your mission that are masquerading as opportunities? Michael, can you kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you have a plan, this is easier to do. A lot of people have goals, but without a plan, it's just a wish. A lot of football coaches that say that. I too played football and sports. And if you're not focused and you don't know what success looks like and the milestones to get there, it's easy to be distracted. So doing a little research on guests, for example, I've very proudly followed the path of Miss Lloyd's podcast and being one of her earlier guests. And I've been interviewed for over, 20 years. I've been on all the networks, all the stuff. And when we got done with her podcast, I thought she had a couple $1 million behind her with sponsorships and big production crew and everything. She's like, this is season 1. And so what I noticed after the podcast, she was able to stick to her guns, stick to her mission. She's number 1 in her segment. And the whole time, people are coming at her for interior design brand deals, furniture deals, television, that type of stuff. And what I noticed, she was focused. She wanted to have a great podcast with great guests, and it should be applauded. And she stayed towards it, and she accomplished her goal.
First of all, appreciate it and thank you. And having great people on my team like Michael Giuliano is always huge credit, and the support that he's shown to what I do. And I completely agree with Michael, and because I know him, so it's easy for me to, comment on someone like him in the terms of the mission that he has or the goals that he sets and how he follows them through is something that I not often see in other people, and something that a lot of people don't actually know what their missions are or what their goals are. And I think anyone can relate how sometimes nerve-wracking it is to set the true goals, what they are, how to, let alone the plan, how to get them. Not every person as gifted as other people and this chat potentially. And I've struggled in the past myself to know the exact way what A, B, and C all the way to Z is going to look like. And you do, with an open mind, do take on opportunities on board that perhaps deep inside that potentially take you off the mission. And I think my take on this is, besides sticking to the plan and making the goal something to build on what Michael was saying, is actually to recognize that temptation to begin with, to define to understand where this can potentially take you through, to take that time away to understand how certain podcast guest fits into your brand, for example, where it's going to lead your show, whether it's going to show what, communicate the higher message that you want to communicate to your audience. Similarly to design projects, is this design style truly close to my heart, whether I want to put it out there as part of my work, or am I catering for some sort of financial needs or self-image, working with a certain person of influence? It's always tempting. And I'm less black and white on these things. I think everyone's got their own journey learning from certain mistakes, but it definitely helps to have good team. So my second thing is to talk to someone about it, to discuss those potential deviations from the plan and see how, so just get a second opinion. I'd say that would be my take on this.
Yeah, I think both of the guests were really spot on with their assessments. But I'm going to come at it from a different angle, talking about the conscious and the subconscious frame of work. So for me, subconsciously, I think people don't understand that your mindset needs to be positively fueled with visual images and visuals. When you're on your journey, like Michael said, a lot of things come up, shiny new objects, you can do this, you can do that, and it can get you off course very easily because you see, well, I could be successful today. I could have this now. And again, there's no such thing as immediate gratification on the journey. Like people say, oh, that guy was an NFL first round draft pick. He's an overnight success. Well, he's been playing football since at least high school into college. So that's at least, 8 to 9 years or longer. But more likely he was playing in Pop Warner. So you're talking about maybe 13, 14, maybe 15 years they've been playing. So there's no overnight success. And so what happens is the subconscious mindset and the conscious mindset are always in a constant battle with each other. So for me, I ended up losing everything in 2013. I was bankrupt, broke, almost homeless after my NFL career, my big business in construction. My conscious mindset was like, okay, Marques, be a custodian. Okay, Marques, go coach football. Okay, Marques, bring in money to support the family. Don't worry about this pipe dream of being a speaker. But my subconscious mindset said, okay, Marques, you got to do what conscious mindset says, but don't give up on the long game. And I never did, because for 2.5 years, I got not one paid speaking job. Finally got that first paid job. And then now in 6 years later, we've worked for 38 Fortune 500 brands as a speaker. We've written 3 best-selling books. We have our own podcast. We have our consultant. But again, I think the subconscious mindset is going to have to battle the conscious mindset. And if you want to be just average or okay for the day, the conscious mindset is going to win, because they're all about protection and what's simplistic, what's easy. The subconscious mindset, which never shuts off, that's where we're pursuing our higher goals, our higher aspirations. But unfortunately, a lot of us fall off because we don't believe it and believe in what we're doing because we think we want it today. Again, I've been speaking for 9 years, and here I am now. If I would have gave up year 1, 2, 3, who knows where my life would be? I really don't want to. I know someplace I really wouldn't want to be.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere something that said, if you're always looking for the next big thing, it's going to be 5 years down the road and you're still looking for the next big thing where you could have accomplished a big thing in 5 years. And for me, the way that I avoid this shiny object syndrome, things masquerading as opportunity, is when I make a decision, I put a timeline on it where it says, I'm going to do this for the next 3 months, the next 6 months, and I stay focused on it. Because otherwise I will oh, well, that will be fun. Oh, maybe let me try this. Because I can be, squirrel really quick.
Yeah, anybody can, especially if you're trying to do things for what I call external motivating factors, money, fame, notoriety. That's exactly why I went bankrupt in my construction company. I tell everybody, if your ego gets bigger than the good part of your soul, you're in trouble. It could be the biggest silent killer of your life.
Well, we share the same thing. He was the offensive MVP over at Howard. I got a couple years older, and they may have thrown a rainbow over my head or something if I was guarding them. So we don't know. When you start feeling yourself a little bit too much, you see yourself on the PlayStation games, you see yourself on TV, you see your jersey in the bookstore, you maybe start believing the stuff, and that fame's a drug. And there's people that have addiction problems. There's all this stuff. I maintain that there is nothing bigger than fame. You could see the local pretty girl and the local cool kid, and they're still living in high school today in their 40s and 50s, both being D1 players for both of us. And then coming from Howard and then going over to the NFL, that's a big jump. And so when you're getting off the bus, getting off the plane, getting off the wherever, coming out of workouts, looking like a statue with your shirt off. And I'm just going to be polite and say there's a lot of shiny objects. And to be able to stay focused and to be able to graduate from a top university, to be able to go on to the league, to be able to have that accomplishment, you had no choice but to be focused and do way more right than wrong and stick to the plan. But that I was not in my head. That fame's a drug, and you need to have grounded people around you that tell you that, hey, your stuff stinks too. You need honest people that will tell you the truth. You don't need a bunch of yes men and women. And when you build your team, the climb to the top, you see a lot of me guys or me people. And when they become great leaders, they become we guys or we people. When they fall, it's when that ego hits them, when that fame hits them, and they turn back to the look at me. And the back of the jersey becomes more important than the front of the jersey. When you start feeling yourself, that's when you're going to fall.
Yep. Well, that is our 10 minutes. So I'm going to cut us off there. It was such a pleasure to have this conversation with the three of you. I knew it was going to be wonderful, and I look forward to speaking to each of you again really soon.